this next team, listen, this one hurts me a little bit because I have a newly acquired friend whose dad is actually the GM for this team. So shout out Landon for the Miami Dolphins. Chris Greer is their GM, but I am absolutely going to rip into this team because I think that this could potentially be a worst record watch team so far. Just because you have, I think Mike McDaniels is favorite for first coach fired. Um, some of the shit that comes out of Miami, like, oh, like these guys like don't respect McDaniels. They come in late for meetings. They come in late for practice. This, that, and the third. If you can't get everybody on the same page and have respect within that locker room, why should we sit here and expect for them to be a good football team? Because it starts up top. And if the guys don't respect the guy up top, why should we sit here and think that they're going to be able to get it together?
I mean, those guys in Miami don't even want to be coached. We saw it come out with the Vic Fangio stuff. Like, that guy's been a successful defensive coordinator in the NFL for how many years? And all of the things that we saw were about how none of the players liked him and he was an asshole. And then he comes to Philadelphia and puts together the best defense in the NFL. So clearly it wasn't a Fangio thing. It was a Dolphins culture thing, which I don't think they have any.
Yeah, absolutely zero culture. I mean, I just don't love the genetic makeup of this team. Like every single year they continue to lose guys. I mean, I think didn't Jalen Phillips tear his ACL at the end, like when after he came back from his Achilles last year? Like Bradley Chubb's just not a great player anymore. I have up and down thoughts about Waddle and Tyreek Hill. They're both slight wide receivers who continue to get hurt, and Tyreek Hill's older now. And I mean, he had one of the worst seasons I wouldn't have ever imagined him have. I know he didn't hit 1,000 yards, but he just wasn't really impactful in what they did at all last year. Their running back room, Achan's really small. Their O-line continues to get worse every single year, and the very tough conversation that like nobody likes to have is like the fact that the Dolphins organization just lets Tua continue to roll out there with like their blood on their hands after he like seizes up on the field after taking another brain injury is like low key disgusting. I don't care if like people think that I'm like a pussy for that or whatever, but like you literally only have one brain. And like Tua is like literally not going to have one. We've watched him. I have never watched somebody seize up on a field other than the Brian Dawkins Al-J Crumpler hit when we were like little kids. Yeah. Like I've never seen someone seize up on the field, and I've seen Tua do it 4 times.
It goes back to what I said with culture. Like if you cared about your players and you cared about wanting to have a standard, then things like this wouldn't happen. Obviously, you can't necessarily stop what happens on the field per se, but if something is continuing to happen more than one time, there's got to be a point where you step in as a franchise and are like, hey, we don't want to, like, we love you and we want to see you alive. Like, we don't want to be responsible for something 30, 20 years from now being extremely detrimental to you.
Like, at some point, be a human. I mean, I get it. Like,
yeah,
football's great and everything. I mean, at some point, be a human to the guy. I mean, it's low key mess. I know people like Sprack. I mean, Sprack is a complete like that guy has a 2x4 in his head for a brain. He's like, oh, he's completely fine. Like, look at him, he's fine. I'm like, dude, are you dumb? Like, do you know how like the brain works? Like, I hate to be like, I sound like I'm a pussy, but like I'm just being honest. Like, it's what are you that dumb to think that somebody's like completely fine after seizing up on the field after taking a hit to your head
multiple like, times too? Yeah.
What world do you live in? So
yeah, it's unfortunate.
We can obviously get away from that, obviously, but really the point of all of this comes back to I think Mike McDaniels is on the scorching hot seat. I just don't think he's a very good coach, and not to get this almost seems like a very real like team breakdown, which none of our team breakdowns are this real, but he has come out and said that he's had like a drug and alcohol problem. And
Oh
like
yeah,
I'm not like an expert or anything like that, but like Mike McDaniels looks like he gets fucked up like all the time.
he does. As
Like,
somebody who might occasionally,
yeah,
he does.
he looks like he gets fucked up all the time. So like
Yeah.
I think that like that's also like, and I don't know, I'm not like trying to like pin something on somebody, but like I feel like at some point, like, is this gonna be like am I the only one noticing this? I guess like are you everything that I've said so far, like have you noticed this as well? Like some of the weird nuances that are going on within the Dolphins organization, like from like the Tua situation, from the Mike McDaniel situation, like it just feels very weird.
What it seems like is I'm trying to think of like a good analogy, but it almost feels like when a teenager is like babysitting like another group of kids that is like only 2 years younger than them, and he just lets them do whatever they want because
Do
he
whatever you
also
want.
doesn't care.
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit. But
Um, but he does like stand up for his players, but there's just like no almost organization to them as a
yeah.
whole team is what it seems like. So
Yeah.
yes, I do see that. He also, do you remember when he hit a vape on the sideline
Yeah.
that one season?
Like what in the world is that?
Just get some zins. But that's probably not a great look.
No. No,
So
it is not.
I don't. There's not really
It is
much
confirmed.
more to say.
It is confirmed not a good look. So like,
The
yes,
vape on the sideline
we're
as an
literally
NFL head coach.
think about some of the stuff that we're saying right now.
He
It
might just be
literally
a lifelong offensive coordinator because I do think like he's shown that he has flashes of like offensive competency, but everything is so like the issue is with him is I think what happens if Tua gets hurt is that offense looks atrocious.
Mhm.
And it's not like it's out of the ordinary for an offense to look worse after they lose their starting quarterback, but like they don't even look remotely competent.
Well, they don't have a
And
shot.
well, no, they don't. But for somebody that when their original game plan gets knocked off course, I just don't think he adjusts very well. I think he is
No.
very good at putting together a game plan and very good at like putting a script together. But if something goes off script, I don't think he's good at adjusting.
No, and really, I would sit here and argue they obviously finished 8-9 last season, but before Tua went down with a concussion that had him out for an extended period of time, he threw 3 interceptions against the Bills. They were
Yes.
down 24-7 before he got hurt. They were getting smoked, and that was against some of the top competition in their division. So no matter what, this team, as of right now, is just flat not built to compete with the Bills. And that's who you're competing against every single year.
And the Ravens.
And on the other, well, in their division.
Oh, true. Yeah, yeah.
And on the other side of things, I think the Jets are a laughing stock. I think me and you both think that the Patriots are a better organization this year. They're getting better year by year.
Yes, I agree.
And I think that the Miami Dolphins continue to be on a downtick. We famously were all against them last year to miss the playoffs, regardless of the Tua injury, regardless of anything. We just thought that the defense got worse and their offense got worse. And right now, as we sit here, the offense is still getting worse.
It's
and
the same.
The
it's the same offense.
Is still getting worse because you're losing key guys like a
On
Uh,
defense, they lost Javon Holland, who's
yeah,
going to the Giants.
let me search up if what's his name got hurt. Phillips.
Oh, Jalen Phillips. But yeah, we were all over the Dolphins to to be bad last year. Um, Took them to miss the playoffs. Won that bet. It did come down to the wire, though. I will admit. Um, but I do think they're in the same spot as they were last year as far as roster construction. Um, I think they have some work to do in the draft. I'm
I'm
looking
looking
at the
at it.
list.
I'm looking
Go
at it
ahead.
real here, and then you can say it. Jalen Phillips and Miami Dolphins pass rusher suffering season-ending knee injury and Week 4 loss to the Tennessee Titans. So that's back-to-back years of a torn Achilles and then a torn ACL. Those are not easy injuries to come back from. So just something to also keep in mind.
Yeah, that's really tough. But I'm just like looking at the list of guys that they brought in or re-signed, and it's like I don't really feel that great about it if I was a Dolphins fan. Like
No,
they brought in Willie Gay, who was good with the Chiefs, but he was horrible last year.
I mean they lost Braxton Berrios.
Yeah, what are we gonna do?
No, I mean I'm completely with you on that. I just don't love anything that they've been doing recently, and really I don't think it's anybody's fault, and it sucks because injury has played a massive part of this. Is this roster was built because around Tua, and if Tua continues to take these major injuries and miss significant time throughout the last 3 to 4 years, then yeah, I mean, that isn't on anybody else other than the health and availability of your quarterback.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like there has to be some like off speed pitch if you are Mike McDaniels. Like if Tua's not going to be there, you still have to be able to put together somewhat of a formidable offense with the talent. Like I like Waddle, I like Tyreek Hill. I think Devon Achane is a really good running back. And Jonnu Smith played the best season of his NFL career last year. He looked
Yeah,
like prime Tony Gonzalez for whatever reason.
yeah, he's a beast.
But like outside of Jonnu, when the quarter when Tua went down, everybody else sucked.
Yeah,
And if you're that good of a head coach, you have to be able to have an off-speed pitch and be able to adjust. I'm not asking you to go out there and like have a
I have
fucking
the
Super
answer.
Bowl run, have a Super Bowl run
I
with a
have
backup
the answer.
quarterback, but it's got to be better.
I
What is it?
have the answer. Zach
Carson Wentz.
Wilson. Zach
Oh,
Wilson is in the building.
he is
So
in the building,
don't
dude. He's gonna look sick in the Dolphins colors.
don't be so quick to quit on this Miami Dolphins team. No, I mean it sucks. I think really, and I said this last year. I said when we were like giving like random predictions. I said I think the Dolphins will miss the playoffs and they will trade Tyreek Hill. It
Haven't
seems
done it
like
yet,
that's
but
not going to happen. It feels like they're not going to trade Tyreek Hill, but
it was
he's the
close. He
most.
requested a trade. It was really close.
It was close. My prediction almost came full circle. But it just seems like if you're looking at me in the face being like what should they do right now? What should the Dolphins do for me to feel a little bit better about something? Trade the aging the highest paid wide receiver for whatever reason in the NFL who has 47 kids and seems to be not fully locked in on football in this point of his career. Like if my wide receiver or a player on my team every single week was going out like posting pictures of like Chiefs gear and talking about Patrick Mahomes and this, that, and the third, like I'm good on that. Like, peace, brother. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't need you in this building.
No.
So I just think you need guys that are bought in, and it seems like that's not going to happen as of right now. I don't think so, at least, but I think that's maybe a big misstep. Like like I said, if you were to tell me like what could the Dolphins do to make you feel better, I'd be like trade Tyreek Hill and get something for him. I don't know what it
Yeah.
looks like. It might be a third and a player. It might be a second. I don't know. It might be a fourth. Just get something for him before it's too late.
Yeah. And open yourself up to being able to improve the rest of the roster.
Yeah, because he's taking up a massive portion of that salary, of that percentage of your cap, just based off of how much money he makes. Do you have anything else that you want to add before we get into the draft?
Did they extend Jalen Waddle already?
Yes, last
Okay.
year, I believe.
Okay. Because I was going to say that's got to be coming up, if it didn't already, this year. So
No, he was.
other than that, no.
I believe so. Yes. So the Dolphins, we're sitting here. Obviously, we're talking about them. They sit at the 13th pick in the NFL draft. Sounds boring. And if you've been listening to this episode, we've been talking about it the entire time. This has to be an offensive line team. If you're not investing in an offensive line for a quarterback who legitimately seems to take a concussion every single year, when you've lost somebody like a Robert Hunt, Tyron Armstead is not good. He is not available for 75% of the year. You have to try to get a cornerstone tackle in this draft. So I have Josh Simmons out of Ohio State at this
That's exactly
pick.
what I have.
It sounds like you have that as well. It seems like the most no-brainer pick on the board. Don't overthink it, the Miami Dolphins. A sneaky thing that I think could potentially happen is them knowing that there's multiple tackles on the board here. And if a player is still available at this point in the draft, this could be a potential trade up spot for one of these teams to come up and grab their guy. And I think that a few things come to mind, like the Rams could, the Cardinals could, or the Denver Broncos could trade up and grab somebody if they're still available and they really like somebody. So that's what I think. And that gives the opportunity for them to just add a little bit more of draft capital, even if it's a later pick or whatever. It just gives them a little bit more flexibility. So I could see that happening as well.
Yeah, I have Josh Simmons as my number one on this list too. But then I also have Walter Nolan, the D tackle from Ole Miss, and Malachi Starks, the safety from Georgia. Obviously, I mentioned earlier they lost Javon Holland, but
dude, if they take a safety, I'll crash out.
it would be it's way. I feel like it's too early for him, but they do have a need at safety because isn't there other Jordan Poyer?
No, he retired.
Even then, they really don't have a safety.
Yeah.
So
I hope that they don't do that, but we'll see.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them though.
No, definitely not. Who knows with the Dolphins at this point? It just feels like I said, it just feels like that team was a ready now built team. And you didn't like the term that I used earlier, but they went all in to try to compete for a Super Bowl by going and grabbing some of these guys. And it just fell flat, and the Tua injuries played a big part of that, unfortunately.
And the thing is I don't even think Tua's like that bad of a quarterback, but
I do.
I think he's just like a very average quarterback. I don't sit here and I'm not like Tua's horrible. Like I don't look at him like that. I don't think he's good.
He can't really throw the ball.
Well, yeah, you can't throw a ball when you're concussed.
He is
75% of the year,
but he is literally like a at or behind the line of scrimmage type of player. Like he's not.
Yeah, true. He is a yak merchant.
Yes, so I am a little worried about Tua and who he is. I know he led the league in passing a few years ago, but I think if you were to ask,
that was the year that the first or second year that they got Tyreek Hill, and it was like
crazy fireworks.
Yeah, he almost had 2,000 yards.
Yeah. I think, though, that if you were to ask Dolphins fans, at least the ones that I've talked to, I don't think that they love Tua that much. I think that they're out on him.
Oh, I can't wait for Frank the Tank to just go
Frank
off
the
on
Tank.
him.
That's who I'm referring to. Frank the Tank is who I'm referring to in this situation. He hates it.
Yeah, he hates him. It's ridiculous. But I think Frank the Tank legitimately hates every player on his teams.
You know what?
That's a good measure. That's a good measure of.
You make a fair point.
How the fan base feels about someone.
You make a very fair point. Do you have anything else that you want to add, or are we good to go this evening?
I think we're good. One of our longer episodes of recent.
Yeah. Hey, I had a long week, and I will have this up, and and I can't wait to just kick it for the rest of the evening.
Yeah, I'm gonna go lay under my bed.
White clouds blowing out when we max 4-5, not the size, but it kick up high line.